Alright, we are back with another day of 9.6. Here are the solutions to day 1. Hopefully this went well for you guys. A lot of factoring here. Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to continue to practice our factoring, but we're actually going to solve equations today. So yesterday they were all just expressions. Today we're going to put an equal sign in there. We're actually going to solve some equations today. Don't worry about this. We're going to go over that in class. Vertical motion, we've already talked a little bit about that, but we're going to spend a little more time on that. I'm going to start with a box, and then I'll do a grouping here so we can see the difference. The only difference is that is equal to 0 today. So we'll start off with a box. I'll do one of each type here for you guys. 2x and x and negative 35. So that's going to be my 2x squared. That's kind of nice because those are my only two options. Now my options for multiplying 35 are 1 and 35 or 7 and 5. So I'm going to go with the 7 and 5. Try that. And I got to get to negative 3. So I'm going to go with 7 here and negative 5 here. And the reason why I'm doing that is because 7x and negative 10x gets me to negative 3x. Okay, so 2x plus 7, then x minus 5 equals 0. This one here is easy. It's x equals 5. 2x plus 7 equals 0. I'll solve that one here. So this is kind of what we did earlier in the chapter using the zero product property. So here x equals negative 7/2. Alright, there we go. Let's do factoring by grouping. A times c equals negative 12. Alright, so 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, 4. I need to get to 11, so I'm going to choose those two numbers there. Negative 1 plus 12 is 11. Negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. Okay, so 4s squared minus s plus 12s. And a lot of kids will ask me, does the order matter? If I put the 12s before the negative s, does that matter? The answer is no. You're going to get the same answer regardless. The order is insignificant. Okay, so we're going to factor out an s out of the first one, 4s minus 1. And we're going to factor out a 3 out of the second one, 4s minus 1. Again, I'm glad that worked out. If those two aren't the same, we've done something wrong. Okay, and then we're going to factor out a 4s minus 1 now. That's going to divide out of there. So 4s minus 1. I should do divide by s, divide by s, divide by 3, divide by 3. And then here I'm going to divide out 4s minus 1. Okay, so we're left with s plus 3. Okay, so there's our factored form. And again, you could have done that using the box. This one's easy. It's s equals negative 3. The other one is 4s minus 1 equals 0. Add the 1. And divide by 4. S equals 1/4. Alright, so there's your answers. Okay, this one here looks a little bit differently. If it's not set equal to 0, what you're going to do is do any type of operation, multiplication, or simplification, and get one side equal to 0. So I'm going to start by using the distributive property. And then subtract 1. Now this is a problem in which I would definitely want to use grouping. And the reason why I want to use grouping here is because 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, all those numbers multiply to 12, and then you have 3 and 5, and you have 15 and 1. Those combinations multiply to 15. So you end up with a lot of combinations if you try to use guess and check using the box. Now you might say, oh geez, 12 times 15, that's a big number. And you're right, 12 times 15 is 180. And they both have to be negatives. And now I gotta get the numbers to add to negative 28. Well, 18 times 10 works out really well to get to negative 28. So I don't even need to write down all the other combinations. I see it already. So we're going to go 12y squared minus 18y minus 10y plus 15. we're going to group the first two terms, we're going to group the second two terms, and we're going to factor 3 times here. So we'll factor out 6y out of the first one, and we're left with 2y minus 3. And then we'll factor out negative 5 here. The leading coefficient is negative in this group here. So I'm going to factor out a negative 5 and be left with 2y minus 3. And the 2y minus 3 is the same, so we're going to factor that out. Okay, so 2y minus 3 comes out, and we're left with 6y minus 5 equals 0. Both of these are a little more complex. We're going to set each one equal to 0. 2y minus 3 equals 0. That gives me y equals 3 halves, and 6y minus 5 equals 0. That gives me y equals 5 6. And there's your answers. So that turned out a little bit better than I thought it was. As you can see, these problems do take a little bit of time and space when you're doing factoring by grouping, which is why your assignment here, as you notice, is a little bit shorter than yesterday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions, and we're going to cover this one in class, or the sample question. So thank you.